Welcome to the Mind Help webinar in association with World Mental Health Care Association. I am Mona Lisa, representing Mind's Journal. Today's session will involve our guest psychologist Shyamolima Datta. Along with her, we have Sayani, who is an associate counselor at WMHA. Today's session will explain understanding workplace stress and how to manage them.
Can you hear?
Welcome to the Mind Health webinar represented by World Mental Health Care Association. Good evening to everyone present here. I am Mona Lisa, host and representative of Mind's Journal, and I will be moderating today's webinar on workplace stress management. We are grateful to see so many people joining us on our webinar today. We will have Sayani, an associate counselor of the World Mental Health Care Association, and our guest psychologist, Shyamolima Datta, who is a corporate psychologist at TCS and consultant senior psychologist at Your Dost. Today's agenda will include a brief explanation of understanding workplace stress, some of the signs associated with it, common sources of workplace stress, burnout syndrome, effects of uncontrolled stress, the influence of workplace stress on family responsibilities, and how to maintain a work-life balance. Now, I will ask Shyamolima to tell us what is workplace stress.
So, hi, hello, all of you. Thank you so much for introducing me to all of you. So, basically, first, before jumping to what is workplace stress, I would first like to introduce a bit, tell you all a bit about what is stress in general. All right. So, I'll go with the PPT. Yeah. So stress, as you can see in the PPT as well, it is known as a natural reaction that humans have when they are exposed to change. Okay, so resulting in physical and emotional responses. So that is basically stress. So stress can be positive and negative both. All right, and the stress model, one of the stress model, which was given by Dr. Hans Seal. So he gave this model in which there are three stages of stress. Okay, so one is the normal resistance, in which where you are in the state of alarm, and then ultimately you resist the stressful response, and then it leads to exhaustion. So if you're not able to handle the normal responses, it will go to the stage of resistance, and then it will go to the exhaustion stage. All right. So, having explained the stress, what is the definition of stress, I'm going to move on to what is workplace stress. All right. So, the employees they get an emotional reaction to stressors, okay, and which they experience at the workplace, and it becomes very difficult to deal with all the stressors which are currently present in the environment. So the emotional reactions can be really very intense, and they are not able to deal with the reactions in a positive way, and it can then affect them negatively. So that is what is known as workplace stress. So yeah, that is the major thing which I want to discuss about the definition of workplace stress. Yeah.
So let me see if I understand you correctly. So work stress is a phenomenon that affects individual psychological and physical health, as well as
Yes,
organizations' effectiveness in an adverse manner. So
exactly.
thank you for clarifying this concept.
Yeah.
Work-related stress is a growing problem around the world that affects not only the health and well-being of employees, but also the productivity of the organizations. Can you tell us some of the signs of workplace stress?
Yeah, so basically the signs of workplace stress. Okay, so let me jump to the signs first. So there could be a lot of signs that are there in the workplace stress. One is that you can feel a lot of fatigue, okay, then lot of anxiety, Just let me jump there. Yeah, so there are a lot there. See, the effects are there, that is anxiety, irritability, anger, fatigue, depression, and low self-esteem. These can be the effects, but the signs are also somewhat similar. Like, you might feel very confused about your life, you might feel really negative about the entire workplace scenario which you are in, you might feel irritable, and you might have feelings of feel hopeless and helpless about the scenarios which you are experiencing at the workplace, right? And it can have physical implications also. You can experience a lot of heart, maybe heart palpitations are there, right? The physical effects that I'm talking about, right? So you can experience heart palpitations, you can experience some high BP or low BP, right? Blood pressure. And there could be extreme symptoms, like you can develop thyroid. Thyroid is also a direct effect of stress. So these are the symptoms which you can experience when you are experiencing high level of stress. So it could be at the workplace also, or it could be in general, but since we are specifically talking about workplace, so I'm talking about the workplace stress only at this point of time. Yeah, so that are the major symptoms which I wanted to discuss. Yeah.
Okay. To summarize, some of the signs of workplace stress can include insomnia or loss of sleep, irritability or outbursts of anger, low productivity accompanied by feelings of low achievement, consuming too much caffeine or alcohol. Am I correct?
Yeah, that is true. That
Yeah.
is also one of the symptoms, because see, there are implications, like it has the effects also and the symptoms. It's kind of correlated, right? So definitely, as you mentioned, alcoholism can be there. Then a lot of caffeine consumption, like that also increases anxiety in an individual if you take up a lot of caffeine. And hopelessness, the feeling of hopelessness, as I said. Then depression, lot of helpless feeling that I cannot do anything productive, and low self-esteem. All these things come with the symptoms of stress,
Right.
workplace stress.
Okay, so thank you for pointing out the signs affecting on an individual's mental and physical health. Many factors contribute to a stressful work environment. Poor management is one of the major reasons. If
Correct.
employees don't have a clear idea of goals and work processes, you can't expect them to succeed. Can you tell us some of the common sources of workplace stress?
Yes, so there are a lot of sources. I will go to the I'll just present the thing. Yeah, so first is the performance pressure. Okay, so sometimes what happens is, as we see that through employees, we feel stressed when there's a lot of pressure every day from the organization. Some people find it hard to meet deadlines, right? They cannot meet deadlines on time, and that gives them a lot of stress. Every day they have to have a certain amount of productivity, right? And if it is not met, then they themselves feel low. And also sometimes they might feel the pressure of getting punished by the higher organization, or being the ridiculing effect that they might get from their team members. That is one of the source of stress which can really make them feel go experience stressful situations. Then job stability. One thing is that in the current era, as we all know that the job stability is really low. So we don't know when we are going to lose our job, and they have to take care of the family also back home. So that thing comes, that can play in the mind the entire day, or even then it can cause insomnia, and they can have problems with sleep, etc., right? So that is one of there are two. Then of course, striking a balance between home and work responsibility is another thing. So when there is a lack of balance between home and work, so that also causes a lot of stress. If the employee already has a negative work environment, right, home environment, and the work environment is also not very conducive for them, so it makes them unable to maintain a balance between home and work. So that can lead to stress, and dealing with managers and bosses and co-workers. Now, sometimes we get in touch with really difficult managers. Maybe they scold you too much. They don't understand your problems, and co-workers who might belittle you, who might get jealous of you. So these things, all of these things contribute to workplace stress, and these are the very important common sources that are there. So these were the major things which contribute. There are many other, lesser prominent ones, but what I could tell you is, right, because these four are the major ones that contribute to workplace stress. Yeah. So yeah. Any other question from your end? I'd be glad to answer regarding this respect. In this respect, anything like that?
Okay. So what I can understand from what you said is like some of the common causes of workplace may involve like performance pressure,
Yes.
uncertainty in relation to job stability, imbalance between home and work responsibilities,
Exactly.
dealing with managers, long
Right.
hours at work, and tight deadlines.
Exactly.
Thank you for listing all the common sources of
So these are
workplace
the
stress.
basic common sources which can contribute. There can be really lesser prominent ones also, but these are the major ones.
Okay. So now we have one audience question.
True. Okay, please go ahead.
Okay. So it's like, how can time management reduce workplace stress?
Yeah, time management, definitely, I was coming to that in the upcoming slide. So time management definitely can reduce workplace, because see, if you're managing time and you're prioritizing your task, what is important in a day, so that will help you focus on the goal that you have, right? For example, early in the day, if you plan the task, whatever the high priority tasks are, and the medium priority task, and the low priority task can be delegated to the weekends, right? So if you focus on completing the high priority task, it will in the end reduce your stress level, and you will be able to enjoy more of the day. So one thing which I would like to suggest is that in the beginning of the day, just complete the high priority tasks, right? Just do the tasks which are very, very, very difficult, right? And then proceed to the ones that are less stressful. So what will happen is you will feel less pressured, and the day will go well. So that way the time management comes here. So when you're prioritizing, you are delegating some certain time to all of the tasks, and you're managing the time. And definitely when you're managing the time well, your stress level goes low as it is. So there is a strong correlation between time management and stress management. Yes.
So thank
Did
you
that
for.
answer the question, or anything else? Uh,
No, I think the
yeah.
viewer's question has been rightly answered. So thank you
Yeah.
for answering our viewer's question. Can you tell
Yeah.
us what is workplace burnout or occupational burnout, and what are some of the causes of this condition?
As I explained earlier, also burnout is the last phase, okay, of a stressful period. First thing is when you it's an alarm phase. That during the alarm phase, if you are able to handle the stressful situation, you will not come to the burnout stage, right? But if you are able to resist the issues, right, whatever the resistance is there, if it is coming already, if you're not able to resist, then you are actually going to the burnout phase. Now, the next question is, what are the some of the causes of this condition? As I mentioned, if it is related to the workplace setup itself, as is the topic for today, then definitely it is how you're dealing with the work, the pressure that you're experiencing. If you're not able to handle work pressure, if you're not able to handle the criticism, sometimes we are also criticized. Some constructive criticisms are also not taken very seriously. I mean, very calmly by the employees, right? They take it personally, and they brood over it for the entire day, and and that messes up their mind. So this can lead to burnout, right? So, and general causes, if I say, then there are lots of stressors which are already there in the environment, home environment, work environment, social life. So many things that if it piles up on your mind, it will lead to a burnout. So, yeah, that is the major answer to this question. And I
So,
think, Yeah,
Yeah.
they asked for she asked for occupational burnout also, right, in the specific
Yes.
thing. So
Right.
occupational burnout, as I said, that it's related to your occupation. So if in the workplace you're it is toxic, if you're in a toxic work environment as it is, that will affect your mind and ultimately it will lead to burnout. So that is known as specific occupational burnout. But in stress, general burnout can also be, in a stressful scenario. Right.
So, what I can understand from what you just said is occupational burnout is a condition resulting from work related stress, wherein a person can experience feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one's job, feelings of negativity, and reduced professional efficacy. Now, we have a viewer's question which I would like to ask. That is, does workplace stress affect employee performance and how to cope with burnout?
Yeah, I think we are coming I will be discussing these points in the upcoming slide, but yeah, I can give a brief currently. So workplace stress definitely affects the productivity of the employee in a very big way, right? Because see, what we need for productivity is concentration. So our concentration gets really dwindled when we are faced with stress. For example, lots of things running in our mind, right? The boss said this, how am I going to perform? Maybe there are lots of negative comments already running in your mind, so you're not able to focus on your task at hand, and it will definitely affect the quality of the work that is there. Can you tell me the next question that you asked? Can you just repeat
Yeah,
the next?
uh, how to cope with burnout?
Yeah, so one thing is that I will be coming to this in the upcoming slides. I'll explain it in an extensive way. But some of the ways that you can deal with it is first managing your time, definitely. And sometimes I've seen employees, since I've been working with employees from the corporate, what they do is that they don't schedule any time for themselves. They do their work back to back for 3 hours, 4 hours without taking any breaks. So when you're not taking any breaks in between, that will definitely affect your mindset and your psychology in a negative way, right? Because our brain is not used to taking so much of input from the environment for a longer period of time, right? So once you give it break, for example, maybe talk to your, it's not necessary that you talk to your friends always. Maybe you can just read a small book, a novel, comedy book, or maybe some meditative book, or maybe you can just go for a stroll outside. Nowadays it is very difficult to go for strolling outside because of COVID, but you can just, in your home only, you can just walk for some time, like that. So what will happen is your brain will get some break from the monotony of the situation, and then that will help you out. And definitely, meditation these days, and it helps a lot, because what happens is you're able to get your thoughts on track, right? What you're exactly thinking. So I will be sharing more so in the upcoming slides, so please wait for it. Okay, so I'll share it in an extensive way. I hope it answers the question in a short way.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for answering our viewers' question. So we'll go on with our webinar. Even if a person loves their job, it's common to feel burnout from time to time. Can you give our viewers some elaborated tips to overcome this condition?
Can you just repeat the question?
Yeah, I said that can you give us some elaborative tips on how we can overcome this burnout syndrome that
Yeah.
most people experience?
Yeah, so I have already shared the sources, so next I'll go to the yeah. So now workplace stress or the burnout syndrome. Okay, first thing is that you have to start your day on the right note. All right, so if you start your day on a relaxed note, okay, like very slow mornings, if you get up 1 hour earlier than you usually wake up, and you can practice some meditation, you can have some healthy snacks which are available, you can practice mindfulness, even journaling is very important. Okay, so if you can journal your thoughts in the morning, whatever thoughts are coming, just write it down. So what happens is you're starting your day on the right note, so that helps. All right, then if you stop multitasking. Some people do a lot of multitasking in the long run, because these days even everyone advertises that multitasking can improve productivity. A lot of things are there, but multitasking is not productive at all. So we should do one thing at a time. Every day schedule what you're going to do at one time and then do it properly. So multitasking should be avoided properly. Then communication is another thing that comes here. Like if you communicate with whatever, for example with your boss, sometimes the boss is not does not know what is happening in your life, right? They don't know what is proper maybe there's some home problem which you have, or maybe you're having some low productivity days. You should communicate it to your boss so that your boss understands your situation and they help you with your productivity. Okay. And then the next is positive relationship outside work. So if you form some positive relationships outside work, see, in the work setup sometimes it is very competitive, right? We don't want to talk to people, they are our competitors. We are not able to express ourselves easily. So if you can make friendships outside your work, for example, you can join some clubs like reading clubs, maybe dance clubs. So many things are there where you can make positive friendships, so that can also help. Then maintaining healthy boundaries. Okay, maintaining healthy boundaries is important. People are not able to maintain a lot of healthy boundaries with people, like they don't know how to say no, one thing. Then people generally say anything and everything. They comment on their personal lives, everything. So you should know who is allowed to comment on your personal life and who is not. Okay. And your workplace also, just make friends with people who really genuinely care about you. Don't share everything with everyone. So maintaining healthy boundaries is important. The next is workplace politics. Now, workplace politics also plays a very crucial role in stress. If you are totally involved in a lot of gossip at work, you're not focusing on what your productivity and what the other person is saying, and you're bitching about your co-workers. This can actually snatch away your peace in the long run. So, and you can keep on thinking about it in the on weekends also, when you're with your friends or family. So that will definitely affect your mental health. And the last thing that I want to here share is practicing assertiveness. Okay, now practicing assertiveness is very important, because assertiveness is something which is very, very much lacking in people these days. I have seen it myself in my practice. So a lot of people cannot say no to their employers, right? They feel that if they're given more tasks, they feel that I can't say no. How will I say no? Like, and they keep on piling it up on themselves, and in the end, they are not productive. So it helps. It actually adds to their already they are stressed, and this is adding to their stressful situation. So practicing assertiveness is very important at tasks. Even in general life, it is very important, but in work life, it is more important, because then you will be able to communicate what you can do for the employer and what you cannot do. And even if they force you, sometimes employees force us that you have to do this, we don't know, but you can talk to them, like, instead of being aggressive. And here I would also like to mention that there's a difference between assertiveness and aggressiveness, right? So when we're aggressive and fighting with the employer might not understand our scenario or situation. They might feel that this person is very arrogant and doesn't want to take up the work, right? But if you're still assertive and you tell the person that no, I cannot do it, and these are my problems, so definitely they will understand in the long run. And even if they don't understand, you stick to your point and explain your point till they understand. So this can definitely reduce your workload to a great extent, right? So these are few of the points which can be kept in mind when you are at your workplace, so that you don't feel overwhelmed by this. Right.
So, to give a brief on what you just said, some of the ways to overcome this condition can include like start your day the right way, quit multitasking, communicate with your employer, building good relationships outside of work, and set healthy boundaries.
Right, exactly. Right.
So, thank you for listing it out. Stress sometimes may be affecting our health, even though we might not realize it. We may think illness is to blame for that irritating headache, frequent insomnia, or decreased productivity
Exactly.
at work. But
True.
stress may actually be the cause. So, can you just tell us some of the effects of uncontrolled stress?
Yes. So since we had discussed the symptoms, so when you have the symptoms, it will have an effect, right? So the effects also can be irritability, as I said. There's hopelessness. I will just brief it out in the PPT as well, so that you guys get a more proper, answer to it, and you can write it down if you can. Okay. So just give me 2 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. So the effects can be anxiety, then anxiety, irritability, fatigue, anger, depression, low self-esteem, which I have listed here. Then but anxiety can be a lot of it. For example, you can feel generalized anxiety. You can feel, social anxiety. Social anxiety is like interacting with people around you, right? At your workplace, you have to talk to people also, right? You have to interact on a positive note, so they can feel a lot of social anxiety as well, right? So anxiety is not only just generalized anxiety which you're feeling inside you, it can also be social anxiety, right? So both of these things come. You can be irritable about the entire scenario, right? About your workplace. You want to leave the workplace, you cannot leave it. That leads to irritation and anger. Now anger also can be experienced towards yourself and towards your bosses, towards your co-workers, right? So the feeling of anger comes. Then fatigue comes. All the entire day you're feeling lethargic, right? You don't know how to deal with the situation. You want to sleep all the time, okay? Or you want to eat all the time. That is also one. Overeating is also one of the effects of stress, because you're eating to, it's known as emotional eating. If I think you all have heard about the phrase emotional eating, right? So emotional eating is there. Then depression, feeling of hopelessness, helplessness, feeling bad about the entire scenario. All these things come under the effects. And low self-esteem. You can experience low self-esteem also as a cause of stress, because you develop a lack of faith in yourself. The confidence that you have in yourself, I can do something, that goes away, right? So these things can be the effect. So these are the basic emotional effects. So now there are some physical effects as well, like as I had mentioned earlier, respiratory issues, asthma, etc. These things can develop. Then heart conditions develop, heart disease. You develop the, you can get a heart attack. I mean, that is an extreme situation, but in the burnout situation there is a probability of getting a heart attack. You can develop neurological disorders. Like, you might not face it back now only, but it can be there later on, at your later age, right? When you're aging. So at that point of time, neurological ages like dementia, it can develop, Alzheimer's. All these neurological problems can occur if you do not deal with stress in a proper way. So these are the physical effects. And here I've not mentioned it here, as I think Mona Lisa was telling us a short while ago, that it can lead to alcoholism, then substance abuse. All these things can come, because these are unhealthy ways of coping with stress, right? So there are two ways of coping. So the unhealthy ways are substance abuse, then alcoholism is there. Then maybe a lot of people do a lot of self harm. They end up harming themselves, trying to pick their skin. All these things are there. So these are the extreme reactions that I'm saying. So all these things are the effects that I have. Yeah. Anything else you want to ask related to this? Please let me know.
Yeah, okay. To summarize, stress that's left unchecked can contribute to several physical and mental health problems such as high blood pressure, heart disease, obesity, diabetes, depression, anxiety, irritability, and difficulty with decision making. Thank you for elaborating on the effects of uncontrolled stress. Can you tell us how can we overcome it?
Yeah, so I had briefed about it a while ago, that how to overcome uncontrolled stress. So as I mentioned earlier, also now I would like to again stress upon these points. Okay, so just a sec. Yeah. So now basically having a healthy work life balance can do the goal. I have already shared the, the ways in which you can deal with it. Now if you have a healthy work life balance, the stress will itself go away, like, it will be managed. So having specific work hours can be there. So if you set boundaries for your working hours, and you do not go beyond those hours. If you have specific working hours, like, okay, this from this time to this time is my working hour. Like, for example, right now we are at home, so we can always see that, okay, by 6 o'clock I'm going to end my work, or by 5 o'clock I'm going to end my work, and after that this is going to be my me time, right? So that can be one. Then measurable goals is another. Like, if your goal setting is very important in mental health. So if you can develop short term goals, like, okay, like today I'm going to finish this much stuff. Maybe if there's a project that, okay, and you have to reach out to 2 employees or 3 employees, so you just maintain a short term goal. By this time I'm going to reach out to 3 employees, like that. So you can, make short term goals, because long term goals sometimes don't work out very easily. The short term goals can be like, every day you can write it down, and at the end of the day you can check it. So once you check it off, you feel a sense of, fulfillment there. Then, taking out some personal time for yourself, like, with your family members, communicating with them on a regular basis, telling them what happened at work, or, if some boss said something, your coworker said something, share it with your them. Or, you can play games with them, like play carom or play ludo, anything, which can make you bind with them, bond with them in a good way. Then, as I mentioned earlier, that planning your day is very important. Early in the morning, you can plan your day. You can write the tasks that you have already in your mind, right? You can write down, for example, if you want to get the groceries done, or today you want to talk to your friends, just plan it at the beginning. So you can get a whiteboard also, like, you can keep it in your room and write all the things there, so that, things can be ticked off as you go around the day. So once you are at the end of the day, and when you check out what things have been done, so you will feel good that, okay, today I, did these things, and my day was productive. So once you write it down, it is very important. Then definitely growing your in network. So networking is very easy these days. You can network online, you can network offline, but due to COVID, networking online has become very common now. So you can network with friends in various chat groups, Facebook groups are there LinkedIn. So you can then talk to them, understand like, you can talk to them about your hobbies, about what you can write, how you feel about things, all these things you can talk to them. So, your sense of bonding with people will increase, and you will get to learn something new from your network as well. And encouraging no work at home after work hours. Now sometimes some people might say it is difficult that we have work at home after work, but if you can limit that time at home, that, okay, for 1 hour only I'm going to work, after that I'm not. So during working hours, during odd hours, just avoid that, because that, what happens, it depletes your energy in a very negative way, right? So these are some of the things which you can practice every day, because these are very natural things, and not very difficult to implement also, but can make a major impact in your life. It can affect. Yeah. So
Thank
anything
you.
related to these points you want to ask, any specific questions, so I'm open to that. Anything you have, any query, anything.
So thank you for listing out the ways to overcome this condition. So now we have an audience question that
Yeah.
is, does job insecurity escalate workplace stress?
Yes, definitely. Job insecurity, as I had mentioned earlier, also it does escalate workplace stress a lot, because if at the back of the mind you already have this thing that my job is at risk, I might lose my job at any point of time. Because at this point of time, it is very common during the COVID times also, because we have seen a lot of people losing their jobs. I've personally seen it in the professional arena. We have seen it. So now that stress is even more, but it was higher earlier also, because you can lose your job at any time. You do not know, like if your productivity goes low, you can be laid off at any time, and there are lots of options available, to replace you. So that kind of psychological thing, if it is there at the back of the mind, it can create a lot of stress. So I have seen it in my practice also, that some people are so obsessed with the fact of losing the job that they are not able to focus on their tasks or concentrate properly, and then they miss out on going to jobs, and they skip they take leaves, and that impacts their productivity even more. So definitely it does escalate job stress. Yeah.
So, thank you for answering our viewers' question.
Yeah.
We have another question.
Yeah.
So, like, what is the relationship between workplace stress and absenteeism?
Yeah, definitely. Because see, if you are not able to handle workplace stress, you will be absent from not only from the workplace, but in general also. You will not show up anywhere, because you will feel like sitting back at home, and maybe sleeping all the time, as I had mentioned earlier. The sleep pattern changes. You might sleep more, or you might sleep less, and you might keep on obsessing over your past events, what happened with your boss or what happened with your coworkers. So definitely there is a direct correlation between the two. So definitely, as the points I've mentioned, if you incorporate in these things in your life, then it can impact. I mean, it can help you with handling the stress, and subsequently, you can change the pattern. Yes. Anything else related to this I can answer? I hope it answers this question.
Yes. So, there is another question. What are the common programs in addressing workplace stress aside from webinars or lectures?
Okay, what are the common programs addressing workplace stress aside from webinars? See, the thing is that webinars and lectures are very good, I know, because you can get a general idea. But I think if you go for a personal one-on-one, conversation with your therapist, or if you go to some mental health advocates, and also these are there, and there are lots of support groups also available these days, where you can find it online on Facebook, and on various on LinkedIn. All these places have specific support groups which you can join, and where you can discuss about your issues. So when people suffering from similar issues discuss things with each other, then it you feel that okay, you are not dealing with it alone, right? So that gives a sense of satisfaction, that okay, I can overcome this feeling. Another thing is that definitely going to a mental health professional, okay, that can help, because these days corporates are hiring a lot of mental health professionals, psychologists, counselors, who are available to you on a regular basis, and it's free of cost also in some of the organizations, so you can avail those programs. And short programs are also there in the workplace, where every week, some kind of programs are organized, where you can interact with the psychologist or the counselor, and they can give you answers on one-on-one, right? So apart from webinars, these things are available. But webinars and lectures help you in the fact that you can go back to them, and just understand what was there, because you might have missed something. So the recordings and all are always available, so you can go back and just check what you missed. So these things are, so there are lots of options available. There's no dearth of options if you want to deal with stress. Yes.
So, thank
Anything
you
else?
for yeah, well, thank you for answering our viewers' question. So, the stress of maintaining a challenging career with demanding expectations can put significant strains on family life and relationships. Can you
True,
tell
true.
us how workplace stress affects family responsibilities?
Yes, very much. So family responsibilities are it's very important also to handle family responsibility, right? And people are not they get confused with how to manage the time with family and how to manage the time with work, right? So now one is that they lack time for the family, right? So when you have lot of work pressure, then you're not able to give time to your family members. You spend less time with them, and this leads to a lot of communication gap. You cannot communicate with them in a proper way, isn't it? And the negative family interactions happen. For example, this is a very common example of displaced anger, which I have mentioned here as well, where if you're angry at the boss, you are making it you are channelizing it to your spouse or your kids, right? So I put this picture also in this slide to make you guys understand that it affects kids also in a very negative way, right? So lots of young employees who recently got married, they have young kids at home, and when they're fighting with each other, it can affect the children's mental health in a negative way, and it can again lead to a lot of dysfunction in their adulthood as well. So it can lead to a negative family. I digress from the topic a bit, but I just felt that I should mention this as well. So it affects family responsibility, that negative family interactions happen, and dysfunctional family dynamics take place. Dysfunctional family dynamics is that a proper relationship between spouses, proper relationship with kids, they are not developed at all, and it leads to dysfunction. So all these things affect the family responsibility. So if you are not able to strike a balance between work responsibility and your home responsibility, so it is going to cause a lot of havoc in your life. Yes. Anything, because these things are the major point, but anything apart from this you feel you want any answers to it, I'm open to it. So if any question from your end, so please let me know, I'll answer.
Okay. To summarize, every family reacts differently to stress, but some of the most common effects include arguments, fighting, fatigue, health problems, general exhaustion because of the busy schedule, confusion about relationship with other family members, especially in children. Now we have an audience question which we would like to ask. Um, how to cope up with stress when you are laid off?
Yes, that is very important. This is a very important question. Thanks for asking, Navumita. So basically, when you're laid off, the first thing that comes to your mind is that what if I don't get another job? What if I am jobless for the entire situation? So first thing is that you should maintain some kind of activity for your everyday, like when in the morning when you're getting up. Because see, when you're laid off, all of a sudden your schedule goes for a ride, right? You are not going to office anymore, you're stuck at home, but you should stick to a schedule at home. And I would suggest that don't think about the layoff for a few days. Just let it first sink in that things have changed in your life, you have been laid off. Because some people have problems with accepting the situation that they have been laid off. And once they are okay with the situation, once they feel that okay, they have accepted the scenario, they can share it with their friends and family, with their spouses, or if it is very, they are not able, even friends are not able to help, they can go to a mental health professional. They can share their issues and what emotions they are experiencing while they've been laid off. And then little by little, for example, when they feel that they are have accepted the situation, then they can again start looking for a new job, or looking for how they can apply for job, where they can apply. They can tell their friends that please help us out. Okay, so in this scenario, when you're laid off, seeking help is very important. Don't bottle up your emotions within yourself that I will manage it all alone, nobody else can help me out. Okay, so you have to tell it to your friends, family, spouses. So I have seen it in counseling also. Some of the employees who have been laid off, what they do is that they don't want to share it with their spouses also. In case of married couples, they feel that the spouse will get very much stressed about the fact that I am facing such problems. So sometimes they don't even share that they have been laid off, and even if they have been laid off, they don't share the emotions. So the spouse doesn't know what is happening, right? And recently there was a talk also I saw online. It was a TED talk in which the person was saying the wife did not know that the husband was suffering from job loss, and he ultimately he committed suicide, and it was and he was feeling guilty that he was not able to take care of the family members at all, right? So she did not know that the husband was actually going through such tough times, and when he committed suicide it came as a shock for her. So it is not only with her, she was very open about it and she told it in a public platform, but it has been happening with everyone, you know. Like a lot of people who are committing suicide because of these things, they are not able to share. And even they you know they are being people generally make comments, right, that oh, you lost your job, make fun of you, all these things also can be there. So it is very important to stay away from toxic people who are making you feel negative about the entire scenario and making you feel bad about losing the job, because it is not always about your capability. It can be, there are so many other factors that contribute to job loss, right? So we should not take it personally that yes, it is because of me, or maybe I was incapable, that's why I was laid off. So that confidence, that self confidence should not go. So this is how we should cope with it. And there are many ways of many more ways available. So on a, if you connect to a therapist on a one-on-one basis, they will help you go through the process step by step, right? So if you are really feeling overwhelmed, then you know, go through the process step by step. Yes. Yeah. Anything else here in this
We have another question for
yes,
you.
yes, please go ahead.
Could you please share a few tips how to say no to your boss in case of an extra task, as in the time of work from home, they are not considering the time needed?
Yes. So see, with no to your task, if you, as I said earlier, also Lincoln, you have to be very assertive with your boss. Now, don't be aggressive, as I said, because if you keep fighting and tell your boss that I am not going to do the job, that will become very that will prove that you're a negative employee. You don't want to work. So just tell them your issues, what you're facing, and only communicate it to them when you people are in a, when you feel the boss is in a calmer mood. So don't communicate these things when he's already angry, okay? Because if he's already angry and you're communicating these things, he will get more angry. So just schedule a meeting with the boss and tell him that I want to talk about the extra work pressure that I'm having, and then discuss it with him. So even if still they're not listening, that means that you're not able to convince them properly. So maybe you have to work on your assertiveness and how you are going to persuade the boss that yes, you are actually facing a problem. So if you're not able to persuade the boss or communicate your problems properly, then the boss also might not understand. And if at all, if you still you're not able to work on it, you can then get in touch with the mental health counselor of your organization, and then they can, you know, have a meeting, proper meeting between the three, and you know, properly can communicate the issues of the employee to the manager. That is one thing, but that is an extreme situation. First, try to do it on your own by practicing the skills, assertiveness, and all your communication skills that you have learned in the past. Try to use those skills in your workplace. Yes. Thanks for the question, Lincoln.
So, thank you for answering our viewers' questions. Studies found that employees complain of unrealistic expectations or being asked to do work beyond their skills by their employers. So, can you tell us the organization's responsibility to ease workplace stress?
Yes. So, see, the organization can play a very important role in workplace stress. Okay. So, first thing is that they can encourage communication, as I had said earlier, as I mentioned, that it's not only the responsibility of the employee, but it is also the responsibility of the employer to communicate on a positive note. So, they should have a proper communication with the employees on a regular basis, like what problems they are facing, is there any issues that they have, and they should be very open minded. They should not be close minded and, you know, just shut the employee off, right? That your problem is not real. I have seen some people doing that. So, you know, some managers not taking the employees mental health issues seriously, So that can be done. Then mental health support, organizations are hiring mental health professionals these days. That is very good. So this should be continued further also. Then you should encourage employees to take breaks. So even if they're at work or currently they're at home, so if they're overworked, their productivity will get affected. So they should not feel overworked. Okay, and you should encourage them that okay, take breaks, or help them in easing their workload. Then there are childcare facilities. These days, young couples are facing a lot of problem with handling kids. Right, they cannot leave their kids at home, and I've also seen this in my personal practice that they really feel bad about the childcare facilities. That they feel that if there was some childcare facilities, it would have been better. So if organizations have some childcare facilities at workplace, then it can be an advantage. Okay. Then work from home these days, I have seen some organizations that they generally, even from the pre-COVID era, that time also work from home once a week was encouraged. So that is also very important these days. Like if even if it is work from home now, this is not applicable currently because you're already working from home. But once we again go back to office, the employers can encourage work from home at least once a week. So what will happen is they will be with their loved ones. They will have their favorite place where they can work from. That gives them a sense of fulfillment. They will feel good, and their productivity will increase. And pet friendly workplace is one important thing that is there. The pet friendly workplace is I've also seen it in my organization, in Your Dost, that they have their own pet. Her name is Penny. So they, people play with with the pet, and they feel good about it. So pets, maybe they don't make you feel gloomy, so you can play with them, you can cuddle them. So that helps a lot. The pet friendly workplace is something which they should encourage. And another thing is that we should recognize the good work of employees. Encouraging, because if you don't recognize how the employees are working well, and if they appreciate them on a regular basis, that yes, you are an asset for our company, it will reinforce them, give them a positive reinforcement, right, to work on a regular basis. And social activity. So these days, again, because of the post COVID era, and now because of the COVID era, social activity has dwindled. But what employees can do is that they can create some informal meetups, Zoom meetings, or online meetings where they can talk about random things, about their hobbies, about how they're doing things, maybe discuss about some books which they have read. It's just an example. Or they can talk about their how they are dealing with the time, free time. They can give advice to each other. So what will happen is then social life will be intact even in this time during the COVID era, right? When we are limited and when we cannot meet people in person, isn't it? So that ways it helps. So, and after the COVID era end, when it was pre-COVID era, social activity should be encouraged at workplace. Drinking tea together, or maybe going for team meetups. To know and understand the co-workers better. So this diverts the mind and makes the person feel good about themselves. Yes. Any
Thank you
questions?
thank you for answering the question. To summarize, some of the ways an organization can ease workplace stress include encouraging communication between managers and employees, taking advantage of stress management webinars, wellness tips, or programs, engaging in yoga or meditation, making sure you and your workers are taking regular breaks, among others. Now, we would like to take another question from the audience.
Yeah.
What are some of the pros and cons of working from home?
Pros are definitely a lot of pros. We can see that productivity has increased to a certain level for a lot of organization, because you are able to focus more. Then the timings of traveling, communicating to work has reduced. Right, you don't have to go for work and dress up and actually go. Right, so you can work from home in an easy way. You have more time at hand. Then you are able to spend time with your family members as well, right? That earlier there was a lack of communication with family members as well. When you used to go to work, there was no time to communicate. Now you're able to be with them, talk to them, all the things. But definitely there are cons as well, because it has led to stress, a lot of stress as well, because you're not able to go out of your home, and you are in the same environment doing the same things and with the same people. So your mind gets really lethargic on the go, like, okay, the same monotony, you want to break the monotony, you cannot break it, right? And some people are not even social, they don't call friends, like, they are just doing their work, sleeping off, eating, and that is the thing that they're doing. They don't make extra efforts to call friends and be in touch with people, right? Because they feel now it's of no use. What is the use? We are working and we are at home. So that introversion is good to some extent, but not like, since we are social animals, we need to be in touch with friends and family as well, right? So that is a con as well. We are not able to socialize, we are not able to do anything. So that can create a lot of symptoms like lethargy, helplessness, negative feelings about the entire scenario. And watching a lot of news, people are spending time watching news, right? That they're obsessed with the news, how much deaths happened, what happened, all these things, are affecting their mindset a lot. So there has been pros, but the cons are also there. Flip side, right?
Uh, Thank you for answering our viewers' question. We have another question from our audience here. What are some of the self-help strategies for workplace stress?
Yeah, self-help strategies for workplaces, as I had mentioned earlier also. First thing is, every day I think you should incorporate some kind of meditation ritual in your daily life. What happens is that meditation is like getting in touch with your own self, right? You are in touch with your own thoughts, what thoughts you are experiencing. You can understand yourself better if you are doing meditation every day. Another thing is self conversation, that also helps. Like, if you are writing, conversing with yourself as you would converse with your friend if he or she was in the same scenario. So what we do is that we are very harsh towards ourselves, but when we talk to friends, we encourage them, right? So in the same way, a positive self dialogue every day with ourselves is very important. That is there. Then healthy food, like, what happens is we tend to hog on a lot of junk, right? We eat a lot of junk, because when we want to deal with stress, we feel that, okay, let's order from outside something, like, pizza or something, chicken, if people who are non-vegetarian. So like, even vegetarian people do that. So instead of ordering from outside, just maintain a healthy diet every day. Incorporate fruits, because when we incorporate more of fruits, vegetables, etc. in our diet, it has a positive effect on our mind. So research has also proven that. So Indian psychology, that also says it, and even Western psychology has really researched on this, that if you are eating healthy, it can really affect your mindset. And maintaining some kind of communication with your friends, family, that would help. And even with your boss, I feel that a lot of people crib about having a negative communication with the bosses. So if you are in regular touch with your bosses, and if you're talking to them, telling them, even if you want to share something which you are facing, and if you feel that the boss is empathetic, you can definitely share it with them as well, right? Because nowadays bosses are also understanding the fact that, yes, things are going wrong in employees life and they need our support. So that way, so these are some of the self-help strategies that you can use every day, just to create a sense of good feeling within yourself. And another thing, quickly I would mention here, is our personality. Like, sometimes we don't know what our personality is, right? So introversion and extroversion are two kinds of people that we have, and we have ambiverts as well. But introverts have a very different way of coping with stress, and extroverts have very different way, right? So first, you should understand whether you are an introvert or whether you are really an extrovert. So if you're an introvert, you can introspect more, you can spend time with books, you can read more, that will to a lot of de-stressing. And if you're an extrovert, extroverts have the tendency to, get some outside help, outside. They want to interact more with people. So they should focus on that more. So first understand what is your personality trait. That is very important. So everything, it is not a one fit all, right? So it depends upon a lot of other factors too. So that ways. Yes. I hope this answers the question.
So thank you for answering our viewers' questions. Do you have any other messages for our viewers?
Yeah, so see, I would like to end. I just did a found a quote. So this was a very nice quote which I found. I thought I'll put it, that stress is the trash of modern life. We all generate it, but if you don't dispose of it properly, it will pile up and overtake your life. So stress is something which is a trash, which I really feel so. And all of you, all my viewers, if they feel that they are having facing some stressful situation at home, at work, they should not feel ashamed of seeking help, because if you feel ashamed to seek help, then you will never be able to deal with it. So any kind of webinar or any kind of lecture will help you. So these things are there to support you, but in the end, seeking help is totally upon yourself. So you should go and you should remove the taboo that what will people think of that I'm going to a psychologist. And I have myself seen this in my practice, that people come and they feel ashamed that, oh, you're not going to tell this to this person, know that I'm seeking help. So they are still very ashamed of going to a psychologist and asking for help. So seeking help is very important. So it could be me or it could be any other therapist, anyone. And but the main thing is that you should seek help. And in case you want to get in touch with me, you can get in touch with me through my social media handle. I'm there on YouTube also. You can DM me. So all the things are available. So you can get in touch with me. And it's good. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to reach out to the wider audience. So thank you, and thank you for hosting such a good webinar, both of you, Mona Lisa and Shiny. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you for this wonderful message. I think a lot of us have been helped with your advice. To recapitulate today's session, it helped us to understand workplace stress management, workplace burnout syndrome, and how to maintain a healthy work-life balance, among others.
Yes. Exactly. Anything else would you want to ask, or anything, any message from our viewers?
I believe all the questions have been answered.
Yeah. Thank you all for
Asking
asking the
for
question and for joining the webinar as well. It was really an interactive session. I really enjoyed the entire webinar. And I hope all of you enjoyed it too. Thank you so much for joining. And I can see some of the messages. Thanks, all of you, for the responses. Yes.
So, thank you, viewers, for participating in our webinar. We hope our viewers found it helpful. Thank you, Shyamolima, for an enlightening and entertaining presentation on workplace stress management.
No problem. Thanks a lot. Looking forward to more in future, and all the best to our viewers also. I know it's a very tough situation currently going on, so I hope everyone deals with it in a positive way and come out victorious. And all my good wishes with all.
Thank you, Shyamolima. Thank you, viewers, for participating in our webinar. We hope that the information provided in this webinar was helpful to you and your family.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.